folks, it's Pride Month. And do you know what that means? That means that I get to talk about some of my favorite characters from the LGBTQIA community. I mean, I do that anyways, I talk about them anyways, but this feels special. And to commemorate this, I will talk about one of my recent favorites. Well, I say recent, but it's been at least a year since I've met this character. That is Annabel Lee from the Nevermore webtoon. If you don't know this webtoon, well, it's on webtoon. It's a webcomic, it's gothic, it has elements of horror and tragic romance. If you haven't seen it and you're here on this video, then I implore you, go and see it because this will contain some massive spoilers for the character of Annabel Lee and her arc. With that warning out of the way, let's get into one of my favorite, not so stable lesbian characters of all time. First things first, Annabel Lee Whitlock is one of the two main characters of the Nevermore webtoon, made by Red and Kate Flynn and Kit Trace. And the other character of this handsome duo is Lenore Wondernacht. I think I said that correctly. I probably didn't, but she has a really weird last name. Anyways, these two are quite the dynamic duo, but as much as I love Lenore, and I really love her, I'm so fascinated by Annabel and the lengths that she will go to in order to hide who she really is. We get this with Lenore as well. Lenore masks who she is several times in the comic, but Annabel does it a whole lot more, and I would also argue a lot more successfully than Lenore. Annabel is able to emotionally detach herself, or rather keep her emotions in check when Lenore can't. This is something that we've seen both in the academy as well as when they were both still alive. In both of these cases, the two have had to pretend to be someone they're not in order to find a way to be together in the end. Which is where the tragic Yuri of this whole ship comes in, and something that makes it all the more delicious. Now, one of the many differences between these two is that Lenore does get very attached. She gets attached to her friends, she gets attached to her family, well, at least one member of her family. But for the main plot, she gets attached to her friends that she makes at Nevermore, while Annabel doesn't. Rather, she can't afford to because she knows she could spiral very badly if she does get attached to any of them. So she will go to great lengths in order to make sure that doesn't happen. But for Lenore, she will go to great lengths to protect her friends, much like Annabel will go to great lengths to protect Lenore. This leaves her much more guarded against others. The only one who can really hurt her is Lenore. She can't afford to be vulnerable or to show different sides of herself to anyone else. Part of the reason for this is her upbringing, and a lot of people have already pointed this out about Annabel's manipulations while she's in school, but I would like to focus a bit more on why she is the way she is. She is a very great protagonist, and that is something that we need more of. Honestly, personally, I think we need more of those protagonists who will do literally anything for the people they care about. And it gets even better when those protagonists are lesbians. We need more of them in media. More people like Annabel. Now, on to the analysis of her behaviors. Annabel comes from a noble background, and she has had suitors constantly aiming to get her hand in marriage, but only under the condition that they're able to beat her at chess, which she hasn't lost as far as we've seen. But I think it's really likely that she will lose to Lenore, or Leo, as she's presenting under this fake identity. Whether or not Lenore beats her legitimately or Annabel lets her win, I don't think it's gonna make much of a difference, at least not for the remainder of their dynamic while they're still alive. Since Annabel comes from a well-standing family and is very good-looking, naturally there would be men who want to marry her. Sadly for them, she's a lesbian. But, sadly for her, she can't exactly marry a woman and have it be widely accepted because of the times she's living in. I mean, in the times that I'm living in, it's also not accepted in some places, so we've gone far with rights, but apparently it's not far enough, not yet. We're not quite there yet. Back to Annabel, because I really can't dwell on what's happening right now in the world, because I feel like if I do, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Annabel. Okay, Annabel. She is scheming to not get married to a man, and this is just one part of the mask that she wears. She is genuinely not interested in getting married. That part is true, until she meets Lenore. And the thing is with that even if she and Lenore could have gotten married, with absolutely no judgment, everyone else saw Lenore as crazy. Her own family kept her locked up and out of sight as much as possible, while saying that it was all for her own good. Of course, we as the readers know that she was miserable the whole time, and the only time she was ever happy was when Annabel would visit her and keep her company. It was the only time that Annabel was happy too. The only time she let someone see behind the carefully crafted mask that she made for herself. And because of that, because she let Lenore get close to her, that mask began to crack. From what we have seen from when Annabel had her panic attacks or started acting outside of the norm that her dad and the rest of society deemed proper and ladylike, she was immediately reprimanded for it. This then led to her masking her emotions so much that she later becomes known for her cold and icy behavior and attitude. This behavior not only comes from her want to drive away any potential suitor, but the deeper reason for this is that she wants to avoid being seen as crazy and suffering the same fate as Lenore. Remember, she comes from a time where a woman could express only so few emotions before she was deemed as hysterical or crazy. And as we've seen with Lenore, this could lead to her getting drugged up and locked up where no one can see her when her emotions go out of hand. Annabel can't afford that. Her family can't afford that. Her status as a high-ranking lady can't afford that. The perfect facade that she made for herself can't afford that. Her father can't afford that. And it's for those reasons that she chooses to suppress her emotions on the outside while she spirals on the inside. Annabel manipulates people to avoid getting hurt and avoid getting looked at like she's wrong in some way, because this is what she was taught to do her whole life. It was her only defense mechanism. But Lenore often wears her heart on her sleeve. Even when she has to pretend that Annabel is her enemy, she still showed that she cared about her more than she should in any given moment. While interacting with Lenore, Annabel knows the differences of being seen as different. It's possible that she might have even seen some consequences of it that we haven't yet seen. It doesn't really seem like her dad, while he clearly does love her and wants the best for her, he still seems to care a lot about the public perception of Annabel and, by extension, his family, which leads to Annabel hiding her feelings for Lenore both while they were alive as well as when they're in school. Not only that, but she hides her panic attacks. She hides her panic attacks from her dad, and he presumably has seen the most of them, since before Annabel was able to hide her emotions so well. We don't actually know when she began doing this, but I'd say it was likely before she met Lenore. Maybe it was when the topic of marriage was first brought up, given that her being a lesbian and not wanting to marry men or a man could definitely lead her down a spiral that she then had to backtrack on. And the only real time that she shows any real emotions is when she's with Lenore, which is why she liked spending so much time with her and why she later fell in love with her. Lenore became the one and only person in Annabel's life that she could be herself with, while on the other hand making Lenore become someone else in order to be with Annabel, both in life and in death. These barriers that are between them are, in my mind, what makes their love so much more tragic, but also that much stronger. They've had to do this song and dance twice now. Given the mood of the comic, I'm not exactly expecting a happy ending here, although I am very, very hopeful for one. Because as tragic and weird and even twisted as this relationship is, I'm still hoping that they get a happy ending. And remember, don't just consume, think. Oh, and happy Pride!